Well impressed with the way that Celtic played tonight. A 2-0 victory for Celtic against Sporting. A lot of us were fearing the worst before the game this evening due to a makeshift defence. And I tell you one thing, I did say I think we'll be a little bit surprised by a certain Celtic young player. And I've got to say Dane Murray's not a bad player at all. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say that Adam Ida needs to watch his back, because we've got a player in Johnny Kenny that could easily take the place of Adam Ida. I think that the fact that Johnny Kenny's at such a young age, well, Adam's not that old, but when you look at the fact that he had a really good game, an absolutely fantastic game. Should have been a couple of goals up the first half, but I'll take a 2-0 win all day long. For that. A lot of the fans online are happy about the scoreline. Buy a new striker, please, and we'll be fine. Some result that, let's be honest. It was a result that we never expected. Nobody went 2-0 Celtic before the match. Nobody went 2-0 Celtic at all. Reset that. And I thought, do you know, we would be if we got beat 3-2, people would say, yeah, that was kind of expected. But to win the game 2-0 is absolutely brilliant in my books. Brendan Rodgers will be more than happy with the game, you would think. There was a lot of positives. The goal for Luke McCown and the pass from Johnny Kenny, that was a slick touch. That's a player that's absolutely brimming with confidence. I went 9-2 Celtic though, Baz. It was a pleasant surprise how well we played tonight, but Adam Ida needs to do better, says Stuart Ramsey. Yeah, I think he does. I'm not going to give him too much stick, because Adam Ida, when it gets into season time, right, when the season starts for real, Adam Ida ups his game. You know, he scored 20 goals last season. I'm taking him to score 25 this season. I take him easily 25 goals for Adam Ida. The subs, Brendan Rodgers changing the team. It's quite iconic, actually, wasn't it? After being in that stadium on Sunday and then completely changing it. It was a bit cheeky, wasn't it? Was it a bit cheeky from Brendan Rodgers to completely change the team on the 67th minute? With everything that means, everything about Portugal and everything that the history with Celtic and Portugal and Lisbon and stuff, and it was a bit cheeky just making so many changes on the 67th minute. But fair play to Brendan Rodgers, he got it absolutely right, and all the young boys done really well. I think it must be pleasing to Brendan Rodgers, because you seen the first thing that he did is he went straight to the monitor to see how good that pass was from Johnny Kenny, because that brings a totally different perspective into his game. And the fact that he can hold the ball up like that and make that pass, and it was a beautiful pass to the on-run and Luke McCown, and Luke McCown slipping it into the back of the net, and you're like, do you know, if that had been scored in the first half, you'd have been pleased. Every single one of us would have been pleased. Our tempo was great. It was that. I can't complain, but some of the boys need a wee bit more time. Yeah, some of the younger lads, you could see where they're coming on. They're not going to be first team choices, but what it does do is it gives Brendan Rodgers a lot to think about. The young team, the second half, played the tempo, played the pace of the game. You could see that they've had that extra week's training. You could see that they've upped their pace a bit. They're up to the way that the Celtic first team play. You know, they were quicker on their passes. That was the one thing that I seen from the last game. They were quicker on their passes. So Brendan Rodgers has been working with them, and that's been fantastic. It's now about, for some of these young players to go away, go to Scott Brown, which one of them was going to go to Scott Brown, and improve as a player, get as much first team football as possible under Scott Brown, and then come back and be Celtic legends within their own right. Johnny Kenny's going to come good. Yeah, I think so, Stuart. I think Adam, if you're sitting as a Celtic manager and you're sitting thinking, you're looking at Adam Idah and he misses those 2 chances in the first half, and you're sitting thinking, do you know what Adam brings to the game, going through the 6-yard box and everything, but when we need to change things up a bit, you've got young Johnny Kenny there that's really giving the manager something to think about. Do you know, bringing that young lad back from Ireland, it's really given Brendan Rodgers to go, do you know what? And it did with all of us. I mean, I said when he came back in January, he wasn't the wee skinny lad that he went away as, was he? He wasn't the wee skinny lad that he was. He's grown in stature, he's playing. Do you know, I think that Johnny Kenny could turn into a player that's going to be valued 10 to 15 million in years to come. Disappointed I predicted 7-1. Kenny's movement is excellent. It is. I'm so chuffed for the young lad, and it's in games like this that Brendan Rodgers has a big decision. It's like, do we send him on loan or do we keep him here? Do we keep him here to keep on improving? He's a fantastic. Or do we send him to a club to get first team football and to, do you know, send him to like an Aberdeen or something? I don't know. We need to send him somewhere if he's if we're going to bring in. Johnny Kenny was holding the ball, and the assist for Cowan was really good. Yeah, it was that. I said that. Absolutely brilliant. All the young players were. The young boy Uri in midfield, he was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Anyone that needs a bit more passing down to them, Bruni and Lennon, might get on with them, give them more experience. Yep. Benji could be an asset. One player that I would say I was a bit disappointed with in the second half is our £11 million guy. He never really stuck out as an £11 million player compared to all the younger guys. Must apologise for saying that we were going to get beaten. Defence was solid. Peter King, every one of us. Do you know, I don't think there was many that said that Celtic were going to win tonight, and not so convincingly. I think that the good thing about it is the tempo in the first half is what we would expect. It's how we would expect Celtic to be playing at this point of pre-season. I don't think Adam Idah picked up an injury. I think he was just taken off just to freshen it up a bit. Dane Murray didn't look at a place either. I did say that. You know, people were saying that Dane Murray's not the answer. He will play the same amount of time as more or less what Stephen Welsh would get for playing for Celtic. Dane Murray will be in the Champions League team. That's his position. Dane Murray has secured his place on the bench this season. Dane Murray will not be going anywhere. He'll be one player that won't go out on loan. Celtic will use him sparingly over the season, but you'll see him getting used in games. You'll see him getting brought on in certain games, and he'll definitely be in the squad for the Champions League. He will be one that will definitely be in the squad. Trusty put in a good shift the second half. That was surprising, because Trusty, given the captain's armband, he made some fantastic tackles. Do you know, it's also given a lot of the fans. The board will be saying no need to spend now. Average Portuguese team that won the league in their country. They did have some important players sitting out, but Kieran Tierney was disappointing. Did you not see the cross that he put in for Adam Idah? Shell pill. I thought that cross was fantastic. You've got to remember as well, is Kieran's just coming into the team. You know, he's going to take 3 or 4 weeks. He's only in training 2 weeks, Kieran Tierney. So I thought the cross that he put in was absolutely phenomenal, and Adam Idah fluffed it. It was a pinpoint cross that Kieran Tierney put in into the box. It was sublime. We've never had anyone that can drop a ball right at a player's foot like that for a long time. coming out of defence, and Adam Idah just fluffs it, doesn't he? Got a terrible feeling that Dyson will be away this transfer window. Lanky, you were the one that said he was staying, even though you got told he was going to sign a new deal. You were the one that said he was going to be staying. I said he's the one to watch. He's the big money. He's the big money move. But the reason that we can hold off, if he doesn't sign the new deal, he's away. You know, we don't have to sell Rio Hatate this window because he's still got 3 years left on his contract. Dyson Maida's only got 2 years on his contract. The closer it gets towards the end of the transfer window, and Dyson Maida hasn't. I think if there's going to be any movement in that, it may be after the transfer window shuts with Dyson. But we'll wait and see. KT had a good first half. Put that ball through to Adam. Yep, he did that. I love KT, but he was hanging back tonight, maybe on Brendan's instructions. I think it was the formation. I think that the players, this was the first time that the players were getting really used to the 4-2-3-1 formation. I think it's a fantastic formation that if this is the one that he's going to go with, it's a fantastic formation he's got us going playing next season. And players take time to get used to a new formation. Do you know, you've got to remember, for 4 years now they've played a 4-3-3. For 4 years they've been pretty regimented in the way that they've played. Under the previous boss we played 4-3-3. Under Brendan the last 2 years we played 4-3-3. Changing it to a 4-2-3-1, it gives you something different, you know. And the wing backs don't need to get forward as quick. That's the difference. That is the difference. Your full backs don't need to get as forward as quick because you've got the two holding midfield players. So it does make you a bit more solid at the back. You know, we are used to Kieran Tierney sort of going down and over. He needs to get that togetherness with Dyson Maida, because there was one time that he did run past Dyson, he passed the ball to Dyson, and then he did the overlap, and Dyson passed it back the way, and Kieran kind of looked at him, and Dyson was like, oh, I've passed it back the way. Do you know, Kieran was looking for the quick reverse ball. So this is all stuff that comes out with pre-season. This is what pre-season's for, you know, to get the players up to speed with each other. Kieran Tierney's a different type of player that Dyson's never had at Celtic for the whole time he's been at Celtic. He's used to Taylor coming inside a bit and then passing the ball to him. He's not used to the overlapping as much, but I think it's given us plenty of food for thought, as Brendan would say. Plenty of height for this formation, which strengthens it. Yep, a lot of the younger players coming through have got a decent bit of height about them, and I'm more than happy. Can't I see Dyson leaving after Kuhn? Neither can I. I think that Celtic always have one big sale of the summer, and I think Nico Kuhn is that. I definitely think that Nico Kuhn is the one that's been made the paperweight, if you like. You know, that's there's one player. We have to sell one player. You know the business model. You know, we have to sell one player, and hopefully that has been it. Thought Hatate played well. He played fantastic. And you got to remember, and Adam Idah's injured. He's not injured. There's nobody said that he was injured. Right, guys, great scorelines. Looks like up. Have a great night, says Ali Boy. Dyson was never noted for his pinpoint passing. Exactly. I mean, Dyson over the last couple of, think about it under Ange. I mean, Dyson's crossing and Dyson's shooting. Everybody used to say when the first 2 seasons under Ange, you know, if Dyson Maida could finish like Kyogo Furiashi, what a player would have on our hands. So yeah, good to see Kasper getting some game time. Couple of good saves. Yes, he did that. I still think, and I might be going against the grain here, but I do think that Sinisalo's slightly better than Kasper Schmeichel. Kasper Schmeichel has the number 1 jersey, but I think from a playing perspective, I think that passing the ball out and speed of play, I think Sinisalo just beats Kasper Schmeichel. He's not going to take Kasper Schmeichel off the first team this season. Kasper Schmeichel will get this season as first choice goalkeeper, but Sinisalo he's the future. He is the future. He's a fantastic keeper to have in reserve, and he will be our number one keeper for years to come, and he'll be better. I'm going to say now that when Kasper retires, the player that steps up and steps into his shoes, Sinisalo, will make you forget about Joe Hart. He'll make us forget about Kasper within a couple of months. I'm that convinced from what I've seen from Sinisalo from last season and from what I've seen this pre-season. I still stand by it. I still stand by that he should not have been dropped for the cup final. I said at the time for the Scottish Cup final, he should not be dropped because he's the man in form. Do you know, he's had the run of games. He's up to game speed, and it's shown in that game. And I just think that the way that he distributes the ball for the back is quicker, and maybe that's because he's younger and he's younger. The younger players are like that. They're more instinctive. Kasper is at that age where he thinks about things a bit longer. It maybe takes 1.2 seconds longer than Sinisalo. Sinisalo's like, right, boom, looking ready, right, let's go, getting the team moving fast. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. Sinisalo number 1, bring back Bain as number 2. Jordan Henderson says Sinisalo should have started the cup final. Yes, he should have. Absolutely should have started the cup final. Absolutely brilliant game of football tonight. Celtic did win it. Johnny Kenny, for me, still in the match the second half. He's the one that stood out. He's the one that's given Brendan Rodgers. He's the one that stood out for me tonight as one of the players that said to the manager, you cannot drop me. Do you know, there's sometimes Rio Hatate scoring his penalty. Was it lucky? Did the keeper get a lucky guess going the right way? I think the look on Rio Hatate's face says it all. When he scored the goal, he's kind of just, fuck, that was close, wasn't it? That was close. But other than that, it was a really, really good win. And a fantastic win, I'm going to say. The fact that we've got another striker coming into the club in the next couple of days, or the next 4 or 5 days, gives the manager that other option. Do we really need to spend big in the striker department? Will Shin Yamada be that prolific striker that we're looking at? But then if it does happen, it does say that we've got 4 strikers going into one position, which does give Brendan Rodgers a headache. But Brendan Rodgers will have to have a conversation with either Callum Osmond, who was brought in to be a number 3 striker, or force his way into the play in the first team, be in the first team atmosphere. That's why he came to Celtic. I don't think he came to Celtic to be loaned out. But then again, Celtic could do what Liverpool did to Ben Doak. Do you know, they brought Ben Doak in, promised him first team football, and then put him out on loan. Maybe Celtic could do that to Callum Osmond, because Johnny Kenny is way better than Callum Osmond. Streets ahead. Absolute streets ahead. Let's jump into the comments before we go. Keep Kenny and sell Adam Ida. Would you get your money back for Adam Ida? That's the big one. Irishman Porto is in the house. He says they're obviously slagging the centre back. Joseph's in the house. Johnny Kenny should get more game time. Yes, he should. We need another striker. Well, we're bringing one in. Will we need another striker, a big name striker, after Shin Yamada comes in? We've not seen anything. Tilio should get more game time. Yeah. No one's paying 9 million for Adam Ida. Nah. Benji looked comfortable early days, strong performance, that hold in midfield play. The way they played first half, I was loving it. I'm loving the new change of formation. We just need to take a hit on Adam Ida and sell him fast. Not at all, Ouija. Adam Ida will score 25 goals. He will score 25 goals. So many good points tonight. Murray, Kenny, Sinisalo. Yep, says Monatic Mick. Dane Murray, I told you there was a player in there. I mean, one mistake in one game. And I'll always remember him making that mistake, because the first thing that he did when he slipped is he fucking slams the pitch. He knew he was raging with himself. And that's a good player that does that. That's a player that knows that he fucks up and he's raging inside, that he knows that he's better than that. And that's how I knew when Dane Murray did that. You're like, that's a player that's going to go places. Do you know, it's a bit, can I say it? There's a bit of the Kieran Tierney effect. When Kieran Tierney first came into the club through the ranks, Kieran Tierney was a bit aggressive like that. He would get angry with himself when he made a bad pass. You know, there was a couple of times that Kieran Tierney slapped the pitch. It was a bit like that. Dane Murray did that in the Champions League last season. He was then out injured, and I did say it's no wonder that we got rid of £7 million worth of defender, because Gustav Lagerbielke, he's not as big and bulky as. He's not as physically strong, I don't think, as what Dane Murray is. And for as good as Rocky was, Brendan Rodgers said he was injured too often. He was injured far too often. So it's all looking good. It's amazing what one game can do, doesn't it? It just changes the negativity that's been around Celtic fans about the lack of signings and everything else. One good result in pre-season and everything's fine and dandy. Well, it's not. Brendan Rodgers knows it's not fine and dandy. Brendan Rodgers says that we do need to bring some players in of quality to make us better for the Champions League. But I tell you one thing, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. The future's bright. It's green and white. And it always is. Anyway, Murray is our future, says Monatic Mick. He is that. Belfast Huns knocked out their shells. Great team play from front to McCown. And yep, that was actually the striker that passed the ball to McCown. It was Johnny Kenny that passed that ball out. That was a sublime ball, by the way. He hits it with the outside of his foot. Just flicks it. He knows the run that McCowan's going to make, and he just flicks the ball past the defender. Absolutely brilliant. Bye Linfield, scalped by Shelbourne. Johnny Kenny, type of player who can come and calm a game down. Yeah. Really impressed tonight. Hail to the boys. Nice round off to Portugal. It's been, I'm to blame, I got it totally wrong. Stephen Johnson says, no you're not, Stephen. Mowolski would be unreal in this team. I don't think that, is he the answer? We're not going to go for him anyway. There's more chance of Brendan Rodgers bringing back a certain French player. Anyway, I can't wait till Saturday either now. I was a bit nervioso. I was a bit nervous about Saturday and Newcastle coming to town. Do you know what? Bring them on now. Brendan Rodgers has had that time in Portugal, and it's always good to get away and go to a decent facility and the togetherness that's with the team. And we've seen that it's starting to fall back into place. We'd played 3 games before tonight's game, and I think we were thinking, what's happened to the team? It seems a bit disjointed. Do you know, there's something missing. It doesn't have the spark. It was only the first 2 games were always going to be just kickabouts. But this was the game that we were really looking forward to, because it was of a team of a quality that had played in the Champions League. Do you know, they might not be the best team in the Champions League, but I tell you one thing, if we play like this going into the Champions League qualifier, I'm going to say it, we'll get through. We will get through. I'm confident in the change of formation that Brendan Rodgers has made in the backroom staff. And to the people that say Brendan Rodgers never changes anything, he's proved us wrong again. Even I said before the game, it looks like it's a 4-3-3 formation. But Brendan Rodgers went, I'll show them. Anyway, I would start Kenny on Saturday against Newcastle. But we know the team that will start. Portuguese champions on their own patch. I know that's it's not a bad piece of business, is it? I mean, beating the champions of another country on their own patch. And people will say, yeah, it's a pre-season. But listen, last pre-season we beat Man City. Last pre-season we beat Chelsea. And then we kicked on from that. Let's hope that this is the game that kicks us on. We play home this weekend. Maybe fans will go, do you know what? I'm going to pay the £25 and go to the game now. Even though Celtic have said it's going to be on Celtic TV. But I hope that this is the game that kickstarts the season. There's always one game that does it, and I think tonight was tonight. We needed that confidence boost as fans. We needed to know that Brendan Rodgers has been working his magic. I'm going to say it. He's been classed as an elite level manager, and he had to change things as elite level managers do. And Brendan Rodgers has pulled it out the bag. He's changed formation. He's got us up and running again for the new season. Scales is a bit of an enigma. I hope Scales is a player that when he is asked, he seems to just find this next level. And if he does it again this season, fair play to him. Fair play to Scalesy. Do you know what I mean? There's not many players that can keep on continually to just consistently improve that little 1%, 1 or 2%, and that's all the difference. That's all it takes for Scales. That's all he needs. It's just these little increment improvements, and if he keeps doing it each season, before you know it, you're 6 or 7 years down the line, and you're like, you remember when Scales was shy? and then we're all sitting back going, was he? You're all sitting scratching your head going, nah, Scales was never pish. Remember when he was put out on loan to Aberdeen, and then he was almost kicked out the door, and Brendan Rodgers brought in £7 million worth of players, and Scales went, fucking hold my Guinness, lads. Fucking going to show you who's in the house. Anyway, the formation seemed like a 4-2-3-1 and then a 4-2-2-2. No, it was more a 4-2-3-1 and then a 4-4-2 at times. I wouldn't say the 2-2-2 because that narrows the pitch too much. But I thought it was a fantastic formation, absolutely brilliant, over the friggin' moon for it. Because I tell you one thing, Calmac and Benji sitting in that midfield role together takes a lot of pressure off of Callum McGregor going into the new season, and Benji just having that, being able to spot runs where there's openings in midfield. Do you know when you've got the three in midfield and you've got Rio Hatate going up beside Adam Ida as the striker, playing as the second striker, and then that opens up a gap in midfield. Luke McCowan did it today. Do you know that's the position that if Benji was on the pitch, it would have been Benji that was making that run through, I think. But then again, maybe not. And what it does say is, how the hell does Brendan Rodgers fit Paulo Bernardo into this team? Paulo Bernardo's bound to be sitting on the sideline tonight, thinking, fucking bring it on, because I'm going to have to up my game. You've answered it by the sounds of it, Baz. Have I? I don't even realise it. Hail Baz. Brendan Rodgers had two changes, attacking, no use playing backwards, sideways. Yeah, hopefully we've seen the days. It's just as well Scales. Just as well Scales does not read any podcasts. There were a lot of fans on here moaning about when we signed Inamura. What happened? The cat got your tongue. Pass. 250 grand for Inamura. He's not going to be a Celtic first choice pick this season, but he's definitely someone that has given the manager something to think about. We will go out and spend money and bring in another left back because we need another top quality left back for the Champions League. You're not going to go into the Champions League with Inamura. He's not experienced enough. He's not experienced enough in European football. Never mind Scottish football. It's fine on playing. Look, I can remember when Raphael Scheidt had an absolute blinder of a game pre-season for one half. And then he was terrible after that. Tillio's better than Yang? Yep. I thought they're all very quiet now. Helio Scales saved us. Scales still to come on and does a job. Yeah, he does that. Arne Engels, yes, he was very quiet. But is it because he's only 21, right? Here's my defence. Here's my defence for Arne Engels in the second half. He's only 21-year-old. He's only running about ages with some of these young guys that have came through the Celtic team. He's then been expected to be the elder statesman. He's only 21. Are we being too harsh on him? Do you know, you've got to remember his age. He's a fantastic player. He's got the talent. But when you're at 21-year-old and in a club in a country, and you've seen all these young boys that have came through the system that are diehards, you know, that they think that they feel that they should be playing, and that they're a good quality. You know, maybe Arne Engels needs that better quality around him to up his game, like what Callum McGregor did coming through the system. You know, I've said it before, Callum McGregor always had better players around about him. Remember him having a decent game, don't remember him kicking a ball. That's centre half for me. Who's centre half? Glasgow's Green and White says the tricky bricky is reliable as ever. Got to love Ralston, but yeah, Ralston is just he knows his position in the team, and he's happy with that. And that's, you want boys like that at Celtic. And it's just a pity that so many of the younger players that have left, well, it's not. Do you know all the ones that have left Celtic, and that we all got on our high horse about the Daniel Cummins and the Rocco Vatas and the Ben Dokes? Do you know, they're in the past. Their heart wasn't really at Celtic. When you look at these players that are coming through, if they manage to stick around, see in 2 years' time, Brendan Rodgers might be able to do a Fergie. I'm going to say it. If we can keep the basis of those players that played today, if we can keep them at Celtic and keep them progressing, in 2 years' time, if Brendan Rodgers is still the manager, or whoever's the manager, could do what Fergie did when he got rid of all the experienced ones and he brought in a full first team of younger players. You never know. We can dare to dream. And by that time, we'll be sitting with £300 million in the bank. Because that is just the Celtic way, isn't it? Sit with £300 million in the bank and then sell off all your best players. And then just bring in a first. And that's what we all wanted. And we couldn't complain. We couldn't say a single thing. I hope it happens. Because if it does, it means there's a lot of young boys will realise their ambition. Right, let's jump into the comments before we say, how do you think Trusty played with armband? I thought he was solid. I thought he made some solid defensive tackles. I had a fear in me on the 67th minute when Brendan Rodgers made so many changes. That cheeky little 67, a wee nod to Seville. Not to Seville, a wee nod to Lisbon. I wish, if only Seville. A wee nod to Lisbon on the 67th minute, and it's like, I'm bringing on a bunch of Scottish lads. It was a bit cheeky, and the irony would not have been lost on Brendan Rodgers, you know, to bring in a whole bunch of homegrown talent on the 67th minute, and he would have told them that he was doing that. You know, that was all sorted beforehand. So after being at the National Stadium where Celtic won the Champions League, he would have sat down with the players and had all the motivational talks about what the team did in 67, and he said, right, on Wednesday night, you lot are coming on in the 67th minute. All you homegrown lads, All the boys that have come through the system that are Celtic to the core are coming on the 67th minute in Portugal, and I want you to go out and fucking do your best and fucking show them that we are Celtic, we are Glasgow Celtic, and they've done it. They absolutely done it. 67th minute, fucking loved it, and they performed well. Yep, to me, the irony was not lost on that bit. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this evening. It has been an absolutely fantastic night. We've got another striker incoming. Will there be another striker incoming? Will there be a midfielder? Will there be a left back? How many players will Brendan Rodgers realistically get in before the end of the transfer window? Is all questions that will need to be answered by Brendan and the board as we get ready in just a couple of weeks to start our chase for this once again. Yes, can we get to our 56th title? Yes, we can. It's in the bag. Before the season's already started, I reckon that Celtic will get our 66th trophy title championship this season. Have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world.